Hey mate, Tom here with a pretty vulnerable share. I am in some ways ultimately admitting defeat, and the lessons that have come from this have been nothing short of spectacular. You would know if you've been following along for a while that for the last 2 months I have been pumping the promotion for these 4-week online immersions. Now, I am of the belief that if you feel like you've got something of value to offer the world, that it's worth going to any measures to get that out there in front of the eyes of the people that you feel like it could serve most. And so I have been. I've been running these 1-hour breakthrough sessions for $5 and then running a 4-week online immersion in June and one in July. And I've got one coming up in August. And it's been a real beautiful journey to get these out there into the world. And one thing that you probably wouldn't know about my journey with this business is that from every angle for the last 10 years, people have told me that I am massively underpricing my offerings. I've literally had people come up to me in a cafe being like, "Are you Tom Robb?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro." And they're like, "Mate, came to your workshop last week, loved it. Dude, way too cheap. Like, you could be charging minimum $100 for that thing. That resource that you get at the end, that's like worth $80 on its own." I go, "Wow, okay, cool. Thanks for the compliment. Thanks for the heads up." Humbled by hearing their words, of course, but never really pumping that price up out of fear that, I'm going to price people out of being able to come. And the vision and the mission has always been to assist as many people as possible to live their most amazing life, to guide them to having deeper relationships with themselves, others, the environment, to connect back to nature, to figure out what it is that they're here to offer the world, their sole purpose, their calling, all of these things. And the feedback over the years has been amazing. And, I had this 1-hour breakthrough session the other night, and there was a woman on it that kind of called me out beautifully, by the way, with a bunch of other people on that call. And we got to the end and she goes, "Oh my God, I feel like I've gotten just enough out of this to walk away and, make some changes," which you would have heard me say that's the intention, that you could just come to that alone and walk away and really start taking life seriously and move through some big shifts for yourself. And she goes, "This has been amazing. I'm a bookkeeper. I've been doing this for such a long time. God, it's a bit cheap, don't you think?" And I said, "Well, $5, it's kind of meant to be just to share it with the people and get the offering out there." She goes, "Oh, you could be charging like $100 for this easy, maybe more." I was like, okay, there's another sign from the universe to change up the price. And I really sat with it. And I was like, all right, it does feel worthy of $100. And I wanted validation. And so I rang 15 other people that had done that 1 hour of power course that, I know, because they've then jumped into a 4-week online immersion and all the rest of it. And I rang them up and I said, "Hey, look, got a question for you if you're open to the chat. Thinking about pumping this up to $100 for the hour. What are your thoughts? What would you say this is worth?" And they were like, "Oh my God, like easy $100, even more. Like there's so much value in that." I was like, "Great, thanks so much. Really appreciate it." So I put it up, and over 100 people have gone to the landing page and no one's bought a ticket, right? That's just the truth of what this is. Now, this doesn't mean that I quit. It doesn't mean that I pull the pin, right? I love the saying, you don't lose, you learn. And so I pivot, and there's been a couple of things I've learned recently. One is that if you're booked out, you're too cheap. And if you're not booked out or you've got no one coming in, you're too expensive, right? And I have to look at this and learn from this experience. And so what I've gone and done is basically bring that $96 hour of power breakthrough session down to $9. Right back down, unashamedly too. It's like it didn't work, but it's providing value because that's the feedback I'm getting. That's how I feel in my heart. But I ultimately do want to be sharing this with the world, as many people as possible, as you know. And so I've brought it back down. The analogy that came through while I was running the other day was that you can't throw a massive log onto a small fire. It doesn't work. You're going to put the fire out. And I think fire is such a great analogy for life in so many different avenues. And so right now, it's back down to $9. And I'm running one of those tomorrow night, which will be the 21st, which is Tuesday night, 21st, 7 p.m. And then one on the 23rd, which is this Thursday night at 7 p.m. as well. I'm inviting you to come along to that. What you now know is that 15 people have said that this is valued at $100 plus, and I'm now bringing it back to $9. And so if you were someone in the last 2 months that was like, oh, I was hoping to get to that, but I never got to it. Now's your chance. All right, tomorrow night, 7 p.m, come along. Thursday night this week, that's the 23rd, come along. $9, you've got nothing to lose. Slightly more than a coffee now. But I felt like it wouldn't have been doing myself a service having it right back to $5. So we've upped it just a little bit. It's under $10. And I'd love to see you there if you'd love to be there. My intention is that you could walk away from that changed, ready to really take on the world and make the shifts that you've been wanting to. Naturally, at the end of that, if you feel like doing the 4-week course, you can do that. But you don't have to. So go to the link in my bio and come hang out. We'd love to see you there. Thanks for listening. Have a beautiful day. I'll chat to you soon. Mwah!